Okay, let's talk about some narcissistic behaviors. And it doesn't have to be narcissistic, but I'm going to give this little fictional, hypothetical fictional situation. Okay, say that you are taking continuing education courses. And you walk into one of them, and you notice that the desks are spread apart, about 6 feet away from one another. And it's your first day in the class, and other students join. And the instructor introduces everybody and themselves and hands out, these are all adults taking this continuing education class. And they're handed out coloring books, which is odd, but as an adult, that are connect the dots, coloring books, okay? And the instructor says nobody open them until they're given instruction. She hands them out, and also hands out some colors. Every person gets a box of colors, crayons. And so she gets in front of the class and she says for everybody to open their books to pages 4 and 5. So 4 is on the left and 5 is on the right. And each one has its own connect the dots, and they're done by alphabet. Okay? And she asks, the class if everybody remembers how to do them. And everybody says yes. Okay. Nobody's left in the dark on how to do them. There are instructions even, how to connect the dots. So she says go ahead and connect the dots on both pages, and then stop. Do not color them. Okay, so the classroom people, connect the dots on the pages, and, they stop. And then she gives instruction for everybody and writes it on the board, what colors, meanwhile she's writing this on the board, for this part of the whatever it is, use this color, and so on. She gives the colors for people to use, which colors go where, and she tells everybody to go ahead and do that. And once they're finished, they just wait. Then go out to get outside the door to get them something out of the cafeteria or whatever, if everybody else, until everybody comes back. Okay. Now, as as adults, it doesn't take all that long, and people do it, and they color, and everybody's finished, and then, she says she has given a time for everybody to be back, so they come back, and she said, now turn to page 6 and 7. Okay, everybody does 6 and 7, and tells them to do the same thing, and for each page, and they do that, but not to color it. Do not color them. Okay, and so after that, after people finish, it doesn't take all that long, she says to color them, but she's not giving the colors, which color goes where. So everybody colors. Okay. Now, there was a reason for her doing this. And there's a reason for me talking about this. Just imagine the first ones you color yourself, page 4 and 5. First ones 4 and 5, she tells what colors she uses. Page 6 and 7, she doesn't. Okay. And it's all connected dots, A, B, C, D. Everybody knows the alphabet, hopefully, by that time. And so it's done. Now, when everybody's finished, she just simply asks everybody to, hand in their coloring books. She'll use them. She's not going to explain why she did it, why she did this whole thing, but she will use them later on within the class, however long the class lasts. It's a continuing education class. So, and she's going to keep them, but she's also going to look them over. Now, imagine yourself being this instructor, and you open up people's, their personal coloring books. They've written their name in them, and you know which student it is. And, I should have gone back on something. I should have said nobody can, the reason it's so far apart besides the pandemic, but people are set so far apart, 6 feet apart from one another, is so they can't copy what the other person's doing. You know, there will always be people like that who are the cheaters. They don't want to admit that they might be wrong, so don't know something. Like some people might not remember how to connect the dots. Okay, I always known it to be 1, 2, 3s, and I've looked it up before I started this video, and some of them can be ABC. Connect the dots. I think that's a great way to teach kids how to learn their alphabet, in which order it comes. Same as numbers. And we all know that some people will be looking over, they might not have heard, they might have been daydreaming, whatever, the right instructions, so they were separated this way so nobody could cheat. They had to have listening skills, okay? They needed to listen to what the instructor said. And so just imagine being that instructor, fairly well, nobody's cheating, had cheated, and you're looking at this and you see, most people follow directions. And when you go through them, you see them, some colored this, some colored that, on the one that you color for yourself, she didn't give colors. And the other ones, they did follow instructions, where to put, this color, where to color this one, which crayon to use for this one, and this part, and so on. And they did the ABCs right, they made the drawing and all that. Okay. Now, imagine if you were an instructor and you saw two people who were not sitting next to one another, but you saw two people in this class. I don't, just think of a number. But they took page 4 and 5 and they connected the A on page 4 to the B or to the other A on page 5. And they continued to do that, A to A, B to B, like this. And of course they couldn't draw anything. Nothing was really drawn. Now, think about that. Just think about it for a moment. What kind of people, what kind of person doesn't connect the dots right? Okay. Now there is an actual, I mentioned this in another video, I found that there is an actual problem where people don't, in their minds, connect dots right. They see things that that just aren't there. Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can find my notes on that. Okay, yeah, it's illusory pattern perception. I first had that pop up on my screen when I used Firefox most often. And it was from getpocket.com. I don't know that. I don't know that web page, nothing, so I'm not, recommending it or anything. But yeah, it said that, things like, these are conspiracy theorists. They, and I wrote some notes down, pathological, non-pathological. 50% of people believe at least one conspiracy theory. And basically the people who do that, who are these conspiracy theorists, they are seeing patterns that aren't there. Okay. Anyway, that was going to do a video about that. I didn't really read much on it, but then this little thing came up because there's more than one thing to kind of represent it. When people do not connect the dots right. Okay, and if you take A from page 4, and they did it the same as 6 and 7, page 4 to 5, that's not going to be right. You know that. But they don't know that. Yeah, they see that they are doing it right, and the other people, anybody else, would be doing it wrong. Okay. So, now what about the ones that you color, whatever color it is? Imagine them trying to color those, connect the dots. They might be able to actually color if they think about it, but yeah. Now imagine that the next one they did try to do the same thing. Okay, yeah, 5, 6, and 7. They're not going to be able to. Wouldn't you think after the example in 4 and 5 where they see that something's not right, they're not able to color anything. That in 6 and 7, they might say, okay, maybe I'm doing it wrong. I need to fix this. I need to do it a different way. So, just do it on each one page. Okay, you would think that some of the instructions would have gotten into their mind too, but sometimes people who are like, conspiracy theorists. My mother was a conspiracy theorist. Conspiracy theorists don't go that far. Some of them. It's not a 100% thing, across the board kind of thing. It's not everybody. But they don't. They stubbornly believe their own view on how things are done or should be done or what was done along this line. Okay. Now what about the people who follow the rules? Okay, they did. They followed the rules. They did it right. They did the ABCs, on 4, 5, 6, and 7 separate. And on 4 and 5, they followed the rules on which colors to use for what parts. And, even telling what parts of what, the conspiracy theorists should have learned that there would need to be parts. Okay? Seriously. Like, if you were drawing, if it came out to be a flower, there would be petals, so they would know that there should be, but not with conspiracy theorists. Okay, possibly. Probably. But anyway, so the ones who actually did it right, let's count out the conspiracy theorists, set them aside. What about the other students? Okay, the ones who followed the rules, like I was saying, and they did it right. But on pages 6 and 7, they colored whatever color they wanted. They might not have been, not everybody colored something the right color that you would think it would be. Okay. Doesn't make it wrong. They were not given any instruction. They were simply told to color pages 6 and 7, the drawings on it, after connecting the dots, whatever color they wanted it to be. Okay. Now some people would color, something that you would think would be very predictable. But still, the way that they think it would be predictable wouldn't always be the same as somebody else, but they would probably be similar. And then you have people who just have their own view, and they just like certain colors, and they color whatever. It didn't make them wrong, it just made them different. Any of them. They would even say the same thing about the people who followed a certain predictable pattern. They're just different. Plain and simple. Nobody's right there, nobody's wrong there. It's just different. They're differences. People have differences in, preferences of colors and how they want them to be colored. Nobody's at fault. Nobody's wrong. Okay, and some people who are very, they want everything to be perfect, they will find faults. They will say there's some kind of fault something's faulty about that person. Those tend to be, in my view, are the ones who are more narcissistic. They believe their way is the only way. And people who don't do things their way are wrong. That's they're at fault. They did not follow some kind of rule that they had in their mind that everybody should know and should follow. No, they're simply differences. It's like differences in opinions. Not everybody's going to have the same, outlook as you. That doesn't make them wrong. Now, if they're some kind of like the conspiracy theorists, yeah, they're wrong. Okay. So now if they were told to use these crayons and then somebody pulls out markers, yeah, that's not following the rules. Okay, you have an instructor, you can fail if you don't follow the rules. Okay, but just rules somebody has in their mind of how things are supposed to be, no. Okay, people have differences. Okay, and that's something I've mentioned recently in a video, that some people they cannot accept that other people have differences in the way they see things. Now, it's a big difference when somebody is doing like a conspiracy theorist or just people who don't want to follow any rules at all. It's a difference. But when it's just different colors for different parts, there's no rules set on which colors to use where, those are simply differences. And just like opinions. Now, we know if somebody's giving out something that could be harmful to themselves and or others, yeah, that's not right. Okay? We have the right to say, you're wrong. Anyway, and I started off this when I was thinking about, opinions is, like some people will say, that's, whatever it is they're pointing out, say it's a new SUV they want to buy, and they see that they say, well, I like that black one, and then the other person says, that's not black, that's gray. It's just a dark gray. And people are going to have differences in how they see things, and that can be literally how they see things. It doesn't make either one that's just totally wrong. It's just they see it differently. Now you ask the manufacturer and they say it's black. Okay, then you can say it's black. I would say so. Now I bought what I remember while I was thinking about this was sometime last year or whenever it was, I bought some capris and I bought them online, and they were to be delivered, and I hadn't seen them up front. It was from Amazon, actually. And the color was black. I ordered black. And on the screen it said black, and on the receipt it said black. But they were gray. When they came in, they were either black or they were washed. The material was washed many times. Many times. To make it that dull gray. I mean, that dark. It wasn't even really dark gray. And I think it was 2 of them. So yeah, some people can be lying. Simply. Yeah, just that didn't make the other person, that didn't make me wrong. On the screen it showed black. In my hands it showed gray. So, you see what I'm saying? Okay. Anyway, I do want to look up more on this illusory. I have to really think about how that's pronounced, this pattern perception, and read more on it. The only other thing I saw was something from Wikipedia, and I just read the first little lines, but I can see that they're just not connecting the dots right. They're connecting dots. Yeah. Anyway, I'll talk more on that on another video eventually. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. And what do you think? How do you see it? Leave a comment below. Talk to you on another video.